Welcome back to the Daily Vibe. Please like and subscribe to hear our upcoming podcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, please let us know in the comments below who you want to see on the podcast. We have some absolutely incredible content coming your way. As always, I'm Kudu.
And I'm that guy. We are hyped to introduce our next guest. He is the two-time Esports Manager of the Year, founder of M&M Gaming. We have Kalvin.
Right, so
Hello.
M&M Gaming is pushing the boundaries for their players and fans as the leading British esports club. Welcome, Kalvin. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Still in basically lockdown, but I'm pretty good.
That's right. That's right. And how is it? I mean, I know the coronavirus is definitely affecting everyone globally, but as far as like your organization, how is it? Restricted you guys?
I guess in terms of content, it's like a huge restriction. And actually, we one of our players was quite sick this week,
Oh,
so
wow.
he
Oh
actually
no.
had to get and it was during one of his official matches, which we did unfortunately lose. So he actually showed a lot of symptoms for coronavirus, so we had to get him tested and look at options. Fortunately, it came back negative.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, he did have quite a lot of symptoms, which is quite worrying.
It's
Uh,
scary.
yeah, so one thing is just people's well-being, like how I think we basically sent masks to. We checked if everyone has masks and sent a lot of masks to different players.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing, like how they're doing, because some people play part-time and work part-time, or or some variant of that. So just checking how they're doing. And then on a media side, a lot of times when we pick up new players or new seasons, we do a media day.
Mm.
So we can get new content, new photos, interviews. So that was difficult that we couldn't do that. And that's kind of why we approached the whole animation type of style we did with our roster announcements. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
drawing the players that animate, kind of pretend it like you're opening a manga book. I mean, it's because it's what I like, right? So it's kind of cool to find different ways to make content
Yeah.
under COVID.
Yeah. No, it's been actually pretty cool. I saw, like on your Twitter, you were saying that you'd be the best, like, anime cook there. So I thought that was pretty funny. But do you just want to tell the listeners a little bit about M&M Gaming and what, why did you start M&M Gaming?
So yeah, firstly, anime cook would be very cool. I think that'd be a pretty good one. Maybe I'll have like the glasses, and like be really badass.
Yeah.
So starting Eminem is kind of like it's quite. I mean, it's not like an exciting story. It's just I did it for fun. I watched a lot of CS:GO tournaments. I really like CS:GO, and I thought, oh, let's just the weapon Molotov in CS:GO is it's
Hmm.
like one of the weapons you can buy or utility you could buy. I thought, oh, let's just call ourselves Molotovs and Marshmallows. Obviously, we don't really use that full name anymore, and it influenced the logo. It's like a marshmallow ninja on fire.
On fire. Yeah.
Ninja, yeah. So ninja being kind of, even though I'm not actually I'm not Japanese, but I do like a lot of Asian culture.
Hmm.
Growing up, I watched a ton of anime, and every time, maybe every 1 or 2 years, I'd go back for a month to Asia, and I would just sit in like the manga shops and the anime shops. Well, not anime shops, but like where you could buy like lots of different toys and figurines
Yeah.
and build them. And I would just spend hours there. Like I would go with my grandma to town, and I would say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the shop and just buy different like things that I couldn't get here, or it was a lot harder to get here or more expensive."
Yeah.
So I just love a lot of different pop culture. So that's kind of where the ninja came in. And so yeah, we're just a ninja marshmallow on fire.
Love
That's
it.
Um,
awesome.
yeah, started it randomly for fun, and then it was kind of when I was at uni as well. Well, it was when I was at university, so it was just I didn't actually expect it to be anything serious. I
Yeah.
just did it for the yeah.
So, who was the first person that you got on board, as far as like maybe business, like a business partner, or as like an actual esports athlete?
So I started with my brother. So we were, I think at that point he just finished university. He did economics at Warwick. Now he's doing economics at Leeds University, and I was studying a year in Beijing at the
Okay.
time.
Awesome.
So that's kind of where a lot of the Chinese influence comes in because my family are from South China, and then obviously I spent a lot of time there as well. Like I was living there, and I visit quite often. But yeah, the first person will be my brother since day one. Unfortunately, I can't get rid of him.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And then
so go on.
as far as an esports athlete,
Um, I oof, okay, so I mean,
you can say yourself.
I try not to. No, no, I wouldn't say myself.
It's like me.
Uh, no, I was not very good at the game. I would say so I guess our first like LAN, like as an actual team,
Yeah.
it was some of my school friends actually.
Okay, very nice. So when you first started Eminem, what were some of like the challenges that you really came into when it all first started? Like I know you said it was just for fun at the beginning, but you must have come into some challenges that you really had to overcome.
Time zones. So the first year, even though we officially launched in 2014, like I actually wasn't. I was living in China at that time, so obviously they don't have Facebook or Twitter or any of these platforms over there.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. I think we had Instagram at that time, but not anymore. So time zones and just and honestly, not a lot happened that year just because of where I was living, and university in Beijing is really tough. Like it's really difficult to study over there. You can imagine the work ethic they expect of you. Like each class was 2 hours long, and you have
Wow.
like a 15-minute break, and you have like two or three classes a day, or something from 8
Gosh.
a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really strict. So time zones, and I think at that time I kind of wanted to get involved in esports. I just kind of started Eminem, and we didn't do that much in our first year. We just kind of figured some things out. So the biggest challenge was, I guess, kind of knowing where we are, what to do, and I was quite young, so I didn't actually know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Probably
You
still
just
don't know
like
what I'm
gaming.
doing. Yeah, I just like games. I thought, oh well, we can do this.
So, speaking of the games that you were into, obviously Trackmania. We saw the
Yep.
car. We saw how clean that looked as well. Was that the first game that you really got into and played competitively, or was CS:GO kind of the first one that you played competitively?
So it was CS:GO and then League of Legends, and Trackmania was in summer of 2015. So after I'd come back and kind of actually really dove into Eminem at late 2014, early 2015, like when I'd already left China and come back to study in the UK.
Hmm.
So and then like 6, 7 months later, we picked up Trackmania. They were
Okay.
called Team Fun Team at that time, and actually,
Fun team.
yeah, so I know this other team called Reason Gaming, and it was kind of between them joining us or them joining Reason, or they kind of had talks with them, and I picked them up instead. So I'm
Very
lucky.
nice. And
Yeah,
and talking more about that, I mean, the skin of the car is absolutely gorgeous. Did you guys, design that yourself and put it into the game? That was all you guys?
yeah. So we obviously we we compete in the Trap Mini Grand League, which
Hmm.
is run by Ubisoft and Nadia themselves, and as
Hmm.
like and other people who work in the community. So shout out to them, really good stuff. But we have a we are one of the 16 teams, I think. I think it's 16 to obviously have our own like car skin and compete, have like a slot to compete in the Trapmania Grand League.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to fortunately design our own skin.
Wow. So do you guys have like a graphic design team like behind the scenes working on stuff like that? Because obviously you guys also put out some incredible merch.
Yeah, so our merch, our like anime drawings, our video edits are all done internally. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, so I mean, I say internally. So we have I also run an esports agency called DLC Studios.
Hmm.
So we've worked with ESL, Red Bull, Ubisoft. I mean, there are some of the ones I can name, but obviously some of them we can't name.
Hmm.
Uh, so we produce a lot of graphics, videos, adverts professionally anyway.
Okay.
So we don't actually always get the time to spend on M&M in terms of uh, like sometimes we only have like 1 or 2 days to work on like an animation because we have a lot of other work to do as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we technically produce it all in-house, so I oversee all creative ideas, feedback, sign off, quality control. Yeah.
Wow.
So, so are the athletes also designing everything and giving ideas to it, or are they just specifically for gaming and competition?
So obviously their main goal is to be part of the brand and like improve and be the best they can be.
Mhm.
We do listen to players. Like sometimes like players will make a suggestion. I think, oh, that's actually quite good. So it might not be instant implementation, but I do listen to players all the time. Or sometimes we share with them, like early. Actually, we didn't share with the jersey with a lot of people. Like most people didn't know, so I wanted it to be like a big surprise.
Yeah.
Um, and so with a lot of things like the car, we keep it mostly to like maybe 3 or 4 people, and the rest of them don't know. Just so it's like a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Uh, but we do share some things. Like say, oh, like we're working on, let's say, sweatpants, or we're working on different posters. So I mean, it's not out yet, but one thing is from all the animations, we want to turn it into like an anime style poster of each of the teams, just to send to each of the players at the end of the split to kind of thank them for their time here,
That's
and it'll be
awesome.
like a cool memorabilia. I don't know if we'll like put that on a store, but I definitely want to do that for players because for me, it's kind of like what's their experience? Are they growing? Do they have positive memories with us? Like win or lose, did they improve as a player or as a person? So part of that experience would be to me is like, do we give them back merch?
Mm.
Uh, and like not just like random merch, right? It's like specific posters in like an anime style just to give for them only.
Okay. Well, I know Lane's pretty excited to ask about the shirt, so I'm gonna let him talk to you a little bit about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
the jerseys were like when I searched your like went through your Twitter, that was the obviously the pinned tweet, but like I want to like if you want to talk about the story behind it, we
Yeah.
would love to hear it. I mean, like I read through it, but I'm sure that's just the surface of everything. But the design of it too is just absolutely like it's incredible.
Yeah. So the jersey is like everyone talks about like diversity and representation,
Mhm.
uh, and even like people, many other teams talk about having a brand. Obviously, everyone has different approaches to brands. My approach is like, I want to stand for something really important for me. I can't stand for something that I can't relate to because that's just disingenuous.
Yeah.
So one thing I can relate to is growing up, especially in the UK, in basically outside of London, it's not as diverse. I mean, I'm not saying that people are bad outside of London, but it's more common to find maybe people who aren't as accepting to different types of people just because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
In some cases, just I wasn't used to certain things until I went to university, um, or I wasn't as open to certain things until I went to university. So obviously going to school, a lot of things were kind of hushed under the table. So let's say every day in in a certain class, I won't say which class because it'd
Okay.
be quite easy to point out then. There'll be people who say things like "you dirty," I don't know, I feel sorry for saying the word, but like the
Yeah.
C word,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or like "go back home," or "you're a horrible pig," or one time someone would hit me in the face and I was like forced to apologize to him, um,
Jeez.
just because I think in most cases people normalize it or um, they just don't want to deal with it, right? Like no one
Yeah.
wants to deal with that case of racism or violence because it's quite severe, right? Like if it got to the public, it'll be really bad.
Yeah.
Um, especially I went to like a very I went to a private school, so it was very not diverse, as you can imagine,
Hmm.
especially outside of London. So yeah, it was pretty difficult, and a lot of people grew up with a similar experience to me. Like a lot of people I know who are also British Chinese or German Chinese or Dutch Chinese, American Chinese, they all have a very similar experience of
Really?
not. Yeah, so yeah, it's actually quite surprising. We released a jersey, a lot of people reached out saying they were quite similar to me. So I remember I didn't actually
Wow.
want to be Chinese growing up just because it was so difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's just even referee when we play other teams, um, like I was in the hockey team, so we play other teams, and the ref, like their own player, would say something or nudge us, and and that will start something. But because the ref, if we were playing away, the ref's always for their own school, so they just kind of felt like put the penalty on us, um, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what's said, everyone knows what happened, but to them it's okay, and it's really normalized, and no one wants to deal with it. Um, So obviously, a lot of people growing up, not everyone, a lot of people growing up have like similar experiences, like more severe or less severe. Some more severe than mine. Definitely, my parents was more severe than mine. A lot more physical violence.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, a lot of people kind of go the opposite of kind of what I did. Is I kind of dived more into my culture, and obviously
Embracing
I
your
moved to
culture.
Beijing. Yeah, so kind of understanding it because a lot of people either start hating being Chinese, which I kind of did for a while. Like you just start to hate it because you kind of pinpoint that as the cause root as to why you're being treated badly.
Yeah.
Or no, or a lot of people in kind of embrace their culture, but then hate everyone that isn't it.
Yeah.
So like start hating British people just because, I mean, I understand why, because they're being mocked or made fun of or treated badly. But I think that's kind of bad as well. Like it just kind of generates more hate. So the jersey was turning a really negative experience into something positive,
Yeah.
like introducing people to Chinese culture or making other Chinese people feel like it's okay to be Chinese. Like you shouldn't hate yourself for something that you can't control. And
Yeah.
there's like definitely cool aspects of it. I think it's safe to say most of the time China's in the news is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I remember different political events that would happen 15 years ago. I'd go to school the next day and people would say, "Oh, F you, thanks for that." I'm thinking, well, what have I done?
Yeah. It's like you
Uh,
haven't done anything. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and so I don't know. It was really difficult. No one exactly. There was no TV shows that represented Chinese people or made me feel like, oh, it's okay to be Chinese.
Yeah.
Um, Dragon Ball Z was a really cool show. Obviously, that's more Japanese, but when they put that on an American TV, it was not very good.
Yeah.
I didn't. It was a American displaying someone I saw as a hero growing up as a Asian person.
Yeah.
Um, and as long as if that guy fit the role better, I think that would be okay. Like I'm not saying diversity for diversity's sake. But obviously, that was a very Asian TV show that everyone grew up watching, and that was just an example of people just didn't care or didn't understand.
Yeah.
Um, or growing up, it was a lot of movies display the Asian guys like the third friend who's kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases that's funny, right? In Spider-Man, it's quite funny. But when you see that every day, when you see that every year, like you're just a third funny, maybe overweight nerd friend,
Yeah.
then it kind of takes a toll on you. You just kind of think maybe I'm just unattractive, maybe I'm just not wanted or desired, or we're just not cool or something.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I find
well,
it funny that they show like overweight Asian people when America's like always battling one and two for obesity in the entire world,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
like it's
well,
not even close to a real representation.
I mean, I guess there's definitely overweight people everywhere, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
and just because someone's overweight doesn't mean they can't get cast. I think it's fine. And like I said, I'm not too bothered about stuff like that. It's just if you think about it over years growing up as a kid who
yeah.
didn't understand it a lot, it kind of takes a subconscious toll.
Yeah.
Um, So I kind of felt like growing up there wasn't a lot of cool Chinese things. We had Dynasty Warriors. I don't know if many people played that, but I love that game.
Yeah.
Three Kingdoms Total War came out recently, but obviously if that came out when I was a kid, I would love that. Like seeing people play games about Chinese history would be really cool. But growing up, it just seemed like Korean pop was getting really popular, which is really cool. I love K-pop myself. Japan always had their, um, I mean, they have really cool sports cars. Personally, for me, I love anime. I love food. Uh, so it just seemed like everyone had like a maybe more open view to those sort of countries in
Yeah.
Asia. And then when it came to China, it was just always negative. Like it's so negative, or it was about money. One of my classmates, or actually a lot of my classmates, would say to me, "Oh, I'm only in China because like I want to learn how to make money here. Like I actually don't like them. Like I don't like Chinese
Yeah.
people." I thought that's horrific. Like if you ever ask anyone who's studying in Korea or Japan, it's because they love it, right?
Mm.
Whereas China just seemed to grow up with the stigma is you just kind of hate them. They do terrible things, and you can make money there, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to use the jersey to kind of show like there's a lot of cool things. So the octagons I said represent balance, is because in the middle is actually yin and yang, and as each corner represents different elements like fire or water.
Mm.
So even though they're all really diverse, like when they come together, they're still like in peace together.
Yeah.
So even though everyone's different, we can all still be, we can all still get along.
Yeah.
That's something that really resonated with me. The poem, it's not a famous poem. Honestly, I actually searched a lot because I used to study a lot of literature, but I didn't even come across it in my studies. So it took me many months to find like the right poem that wasn't too cliche and that meant something to Chinese people and um, like it could mean something to our players who might not be from China, which is most. Um, so yeah, there's different ways of translating it. But the way I like to translate it is like I would die 1,000 times for what I believe in.
Mm.
It
It's
isn't
awesome.
actually say yeah, it doesn't actually say the word thousand, but the number it says is basically saying a lot of times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think that's a really good message as well.
Yeah.
This is something that isn't public, so the dotted lines actually are to do with calligraphy.
Okay.
So when you learn Chinese, especially as a kid, you kind of like see them as like boxes, and like you draw in the boxes, and you have to like stick to that box. There's like a certain way to write each character, and
Mhm.
there's like dotted lines that go through the center and different angles. So
Okay.
the dotted lines is kind of like when you learn a language, that's like your first introduction to a culture. That's when you learn about how they construct a sentence, why they say things, why, because a lot of culture is embedded in language. So when you learn Chinese, you have to start with these dotted lines. Like
Okay.
there's no other choice. You have to. That's what they are in the books, the children's books.
Yeah.
So when we introduced the jersey, we surrounded the poem with these dotted lines. We finished off the For the Flame with these dotted lines because that's actually how I learned Chinese, and that's how everyone learns Chinese in China. You start with these dotted lines in books and start writing out characters, and that's kind of the start of your journey. Just like the jersey is the start of our journey to introduce people to something, like to different cultures or something that's pretty close to us.
Yeah. And not only does your jersey represent diversity and stuff, but I saw that you guys have the M&M has represented 29 different countries within their organization, either been past or current.
Yeah, I actually didn't count how many, but it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I think obviously because we're based in the UK and in on the European continent, I can't say we're in the EU anymore, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Um, I'm personally very pro EU, just because to me it represents diversity and migration. Obviously, my family migrated here, so
Yeah.
I'm very like pro in those ideals. So we've had a lot of people represent us, and it's always really cool because if I wasn't in esports, there's no way I would suddenly meet and talk to all these different people on a day-to-day or weekly basis from Croatia or Sweden or Finland.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool what esports has given me the opportunity to do.
Yeah, esports definitely helps us all connect all over the world, make friends without even getting to meet those people. You just sit on the other side of the headset. It's been absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. But so we kind of were going through your Twitter a little bit, and we noticed that you cook a lot. So
Yeah.
and your food looks so good. Anytime I go on your Twitter, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go make food now because I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. So we actually wanted to know, like what is some of your favorite dishes to cook, and why those dishes?
Ooh, okay. So my favorite dishes and favorite dishes to cook are two different things because I can't actually make all the food I really like. So I guess actually this is a similar concept to like M&M and diversity. Like I just love food. I
Hmm.
find it. I know a lot of people like say, "Oh, I don't like fish" or "I don't like spice" or something. And like, to me, it's like you're closing off a door to like so many different opportunities of in terms of taste.
Yeah.
And exploration. So just like language is a way to someone's culture, so is food. Um, so I just like really like food. I guess one of my favorites would be um, dim sum or
Okay.
dim sum or
Yeah.
dianxin or however you want to pronounce it in whichever language. Just because it's so small, it's like a light lunch, and
Yeah.
there's such a big variety. You get sweet, savory, fish, pork, chicken, and it's kind of you have a bit of everything for everyone, which I guess kind of represents the diversity again. Like you have such
Yeah.
a big variety. There's something for everyone, whether it's vegetarian or just fish or meats or sweet or savory or spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't make dim sum, unfortunately. It's really difficult. People spend years making it.
Yeah.
But I do like making, if it's like Chinese dishes, we call it 番茄炒蛋. It's like a really simple dish. It's
Okay.
just egg and tomato, and you just put it on rice. It's kind of a dish I grew up with as
Okay.
a kid, so that's probably one of my favorites. And then a fried egg on rice, pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, so I'm really simple. I make a lot of complicated food, but when it comes to what I grew up with and what I like, I just like some steamed fish and some egg and some rice, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess the basics and the foundation of everything is always the best.
Yeah. Actually, cooking is also like a way to express myself, I guess, in terms of diversity. So most people on my Twitter would have never seen half the Chinese dishes I make.
Mm.
Like I started cooking like a lot of more widely known dishes like katsu curry or just spaghetti meatballs or um, yeah, it's maybe steak or something quite simple.
Yeah.
But then I actually started to introduce more Chinese dishes, so 地三鲜 or 烧肉, 叉烧. I mean, most people know 叉烧, but yeah, it's kind of a way like maybe they're curious, they can search it. If they're not, that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of people actually ask me for these recipes, so I just say yeah, feel free to make it. Because the more people that cook different foods or food that I grew up with or I really like, I think it's really cool. I think it's like if I can make one or two more people more open-minded or see a world that I see, I think that's a pretty good day
Hmm.
or a good week, good year, good life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're extremely busy, which is like so awesome that you decided to come on the show. But like between the agency and the organization of Eminem, how much time do you have like to yourself after a quote unquote day is done?
So some of our agency people work around are from like different parts of the world. So sometimes there will be times where I'd have meetings at like 3 a.m. just because that's their morning. Um,
Rough.
yeah, really fun. But I do set myself Saturday night is the night I play non-esports games.
Okay.
Currently, I'm playing The Forest with my university friends.
Okay.
So you can't tilt off a computer PvE game. I mean, you can, but
Yeah.
you can't. I'm not getting I'm not losing because of my teammates or something.
Yeah, it can't be something competitive. So,
Yeah.
with like all your athletes and whatnot, how do you guys really like, identify athletes to bring onto M&M Gaming?
I spend a lot of time looking at games, like a lot of time, more than people think. I just keep tabs on people, not in like specifically a list. Sometimes I do, but just you see how people win or lose. Just when you talk to people,
Hmm.
there's a lot of players that always try and impress you
Yeah,
when they talk to you, but like you can tell, like eventually, if you just kind of spot them out, you can kind of tell who's not that genuine. So you just kind of find different talents. So our first Rainbow Six team, they went on to be not even top four in the UK, or barely top four in the UK, to then top like 10 in Europe, to then and then they joined Navi. Some of them joined G2 and still
yeah,
play there now, and they went on to win the Rainbow Six Pro League like become champions.
yeah.
So they went from nothing to champions in 7-8 months.
Wow.
So
So,
awesome.
does as like I guess the founder of M&M, are you hoping that M&M is more of a platform to jump into these larger esports organizations, or are you hoping that M&M one day it grows to be one of these dominant orgs?
Obviously, for me personally, I hope we keep growing and become a dominant team globally, not
Hmm.
just in UK or Europe.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of players and like my personal relationship with them, I'm really happy to see they're on G2 or Navi or Rogue or something, because like how much, like what more could I want, right? Like
yeah,
just
Any
like
fandom,
if you
right?
yeah, like if you saw your friend join like a massive team, or they joined Man United Football Club and they
yeah.
play football,
You're gonna
then
be
you'd be happy
hyped.
for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and then you kind of add on that they represented you and you were their manager, or you helped them in some way, then you could imagine that's even more hype. So I'm really happy for them. Like
yeah.
especially most of them, if not all of them, just like they don't get an ego. We still talk. We still have like WhatsApp groups with some people.
Very nice.
We still meet up at events.
Is there
So
is there something that you do specifically to connect with your athletes, or like stay in touch with them often?
I mean, just it's a bit harder when they leave. Just I just keep up with scores, or like if something happens, I'll message them after,
Hmm.
like really well done or something, right? Some of them we just play games with normally anyway. Some of them you lose touch in. It, it's quite like common, like just like friends you lose touch
Yeah,
with, but it's not like you're not friends anymore. You don't care. It's just daily life talking isn't always there, and I think that's fine as well. But like they know that if they need anything, like they can always come to me. So a lot of players come to me after with contract problems or legal problems or legal advice, because we have a lawyer that works with us. So we offer that for free to all players,
It's
past,
awesome.
present, or even people who aren't with us. Just a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, look, can you help me with this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll send it to the lawyer. And you can talk with him privately." Um, and we either front those costs or we just offer it for free.
very nice.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
you,
So
sorry, so you said like you offer, like you have a lawyer on board and stuff, and is there anything else that you do to kind of promote the well-being of your athletes, whether it's their physical health, mental health, anything like that?
I wouldn't say there's anything specifically more than just making sure you're there, like um, to listen, like if whether it be like calls weekly or every so often, see how their family are doing,
Mm,
and just kind of carries them as a person, I'd say. More of the well-beings, I think it's quite obvious, and it's quite difficult, especially if you're not like a really really big team. We don't have like a personal chef. We don't have, yeah, I wish I could be a personal chef. But we don't have like training programs. We're looking at potentially offering just basic nutrition programs.
awesome.
Uh, just if they use it or not, just like this is how you eat.
yeah,
Because obviously I learn a lot about food, but that's because I watch like millions and millions of videos about food, or
yeah,
I go travel about food. And most players don't have that opportunity to travel and learn about different foods. So one thing potentially is just offer a player pack with nutrition. I know probably a lot of bigger teams already have that, but it's just difficult considering there's not a lot of us working at M&M to keep doing that. But there's something I want to do, and we do offer a lot of our time for players when they need talking or need help or just checking up on them. A lot of times people don't even realize that they need talking to. You can just tell that they just need a chat, or they're having problems
Yeah.
in the game or outside the game. So yeah, I'd say there's no one specific thing apart from just caring, right? You just care about players, and it makes all the difference.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw. I mean, that kind of goes into my next question about. It says on your Twitter, two-time esports manager for the UK, like the number one manager in the UK. I mean, two-time. That's like Doctor Disrespect type of accolades there, man.
Not quite. I mean, I wouldn't. I personally, I put it there. I actually don't talk about that very much. I don't have any here, but I have at my parents' house. I have like a trophy cabinet of like I think like 6 or 7, 8 checks, like 10 trophies. I have like the 2 awards I got for the Manner of the Year. I didn't expect to win it, honestly, twice.
I was gonna say, and twice.
Yeah.
Was it back to back?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
back. So every year it's
that's
happened.
two-time right there.
I might not get it this year, probably because I haven't done as much, which is okay. But I honestly, I think the only way you just win it is you just care. Like there are a lot of cases where players are struggling, or a lot of teams have a decision, which it's kind of called like it's kind of a decision of do they make a bit of money, a bit more money this player, or they just forego a bit just to care a bit more. And in every scenario, it's probably not a good business decision, but I always choose caring about the player a lot more, or just making sure they have. I mean, really simple things. Like when I started, I didn't know much about managing people or working with people, but at the start, I just think, oh, do they, are they okay? Basically, a water boy, like at events, like, do they need anything? Is there problems? Like, are they having arguments? How do I mediate it? Like, how do I make sure everyone's heard?
Mhm.
It's kind of like finding a balance of like, does the result matter? Yes, it does. But do people's feelings matter? Yeah, they do. But to what extent, right? Certain times people can be a bit too silly or take it a bit too far. So how do you just kind of listen to people? Like I can't pinpoint any reason why I want it. I guess players like me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kalvin, I cannot thank you enough for coming onto this podcast. I love how you guys take care of your athletes and mostly aim just to grow the diversity and inclusion in esports. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. I mean, it's been a long journey. Like we didn't just suddenly represent different people from the start, right? It's just like it's an evolution of myself. Like the brand, represents all the players as well, but obviously it represents me because it's what I know and understand. I said at the start I can't represent something I don't know because that's just lying.
Yeah.
And it's not good to lie. So I'm happy personally with myself and as a brand that I can represent, say, my heritage. Like I'm really happy that I've found a way to express it visually. As you can imagine, it's really difficult because if not many people have done it before and not many companies have done it before, it's not like I can look at a company, say, oh, how do they incorporate
Yeah.
Western Chinese culture together? Because most people just don't. Fonts don't look nice together. Um, not a lot of people use visual um, crossovers together, or maybe people don't like it. Like there are all these thoughts running through my head. Like 10 minutes before I post the video for the jersey, I was thinking maybe we just scrap it. Like maybe we just don't even do it. Like maybe they're just gonna hate it.
Oh, thank goodness you didn't.
So yeah, it's pretty mind blowing. Like the response I got, like I had no idea if people were gonna like it or not. It's just this is what I like. This is what I think is right,
Mm.
and that's basically drives all my decisions. Like if I think it's right, if I know it's not harming anyone intentionally or going against what I think is right,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, it's adversity. It's just battling through it, man. I mean, every time you've talked about it, I mean, from your Twitter to now, it just seems like it. I'm glad it didn't fully affect you to the point of not wanting to pursue anything and tell people like, hey, it doesn't matter what people say. You can push through it, and I mean, if you believe in something hard enough, it can come true.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I nearly did like fall and like, oh god, I don't want to do this. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't kind of go the opposite way of kind of hating, like creating more hatred. I think
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think it's really wrong.
it seems like
And
the easy way out, though, right?
yeah, it's actually a lot harder to forgive. Like, uh, admittedly, even now, like I wouldn't say I get PTSD, but I do like get shocks of like thinking about what's happened
Yeah.
in the past. Like, just like it's it's borderline injustice, and I know that I can't change that, and I'm probably never gonna get the closure I want. But you just kind of have to push through that. That you're not gonna get what you want, and that's just life. But you can try to make a difference for other people.
Yeah.
That's why being a trailblazer.
Hopefully, yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our socials and our website, Viber Network, to get access to the beta, to the first ever professional networking platform for gamers by gamers. Until next time, cheers.